Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Let me explain what this particular report is. Actually, I just took the simple report because it's something which we use all the time. Alright, and I'm just going with the standard report which we have over here and how we can actually achieve all of this. Alright, you can actually have this worker type, employee and contingent worker type replaced by your own location or how you want to have it. And then if you want to group it as terminated as one side, the active workday count as one side, you can have this done. Not terminated, not terminated, terminated. See over here. All of these options terminated, not terminated. You are going to actually have the employee grouping in the columns. These columns over here, not terminated, not terminated, terminated, terminated. You are going to do this grouping over here, which is in the second part of the grid. Why are these fields that you have over here? And what is the field that you want to summarize? Here I'm going to have a summarization type of count. Very simple as count is what I'm going to be summarizing across different domains. And what is exactly the count? It is going to be that it's going to be like a grouping. And you have the drill down option over here. Let me go to drill down and then I'll make a little bit more sense to you as well. If I go across to drill down over here, how I want to drill down this particular data. If I click on the 773, what is going to be the drill down version of this particular report? It's going to show me the worker information and I can also view much of other information over here. View by cost center country FTE percentage supervisory organization. How do I want to have this? Drillable versions over here. Drillable fields available over here. Because I was actually planning to cover this in depth and detail. But let's go through that right now. I am going to display only those employees. And drill down option is going to be all of this. And I can also summarize it either by default. By default, the default value is going to be fetching from your data source. From your data source, you are going to be having your default value, which is more likely your employee ID or your worker ID. And the details see over here. If I click on details over here, view details, this is only displaying the employee information over here. If I want to add additional details over here, I will add that particular detailed data over here. I will add more detailed data over here. Let me go with from scratch. First, I have just chosen copy standard report to my custom report. I have chosen headcounts by worker type. I have created my own version over here. And this is the matrix report which I am trying to achieve over here. Instead of worker, employee and contingent worker type. Because here what it is actually doing is we have different types of employee type, contingent worker type, and your active inactive accounts. All of these are belonging to this particular field. And it is chosen whether terminated or not terminated, and your count overall. Because of the drill down options I have over here. And I am choosing in your case, you can put it as location. Instead of having it as worker, employee type and contingent worker type, you can rather have it as just location only. And if you want to have it for a specific location, say for example, if you want to have it only for the US, you can have it as filter option. country in US. Or you can have a prompt over there. That prompt is going to say US only. That is the way you can achieve that. 5 columns that you see over here. Row total descending. Row total descending. All of these 5 columns are nothing, but all these 5. All these 5 are going to be nothing, but your row totals descending. And this is all. Row total, row total. All of these values are going to be available over here. And if you want to have some values, you can do it. How do I group this? How do I group this? If I want to have a column-wise split up, column-wise, I am just splitting all of this. Here I am saying terminated, not terminated. Active, inactive account. All those options are coming from over here, terminate, because this is more likely. See over here, a delivered field which is going to say whether the worker is terminated or not. If you see over here, this option, this field is going to give. If it is terminated, it is going to give a value as terminated. And again, this is another calculated field, which is going to say whether it is an active account or an inactive account. What you can possibly do is, if I were you, I would build calculated fields. Since you are going to put it on locations, just a small hint for you, you can put all of these as locations. And you can say whether this particular field is going to give you is in US, outside of US. Or you can build 2 different location hierarchies. Location hierarchies. One for the east coast of the US, another for the west coast of the US, another for the central. You are going to have 3 values over here. And again it is like, see the way this splits is. The more number of columns over here. There are 2 fields over here. It is going to typically split it as 2 cross 2, which is like 4 different combinations. It is going to be first, inactive not terminated, active not terminated, inactive terminated, active terminated, all the 4 combinations. It is a 2 cross 2 combination for the 2 fields that I am going to be choosing over here. That is what it actually drills down to, or your column grouping does. What is the type of aggregation that I want to do? Here I am saying it as count. I can also do another value or another type of summarization, which could be more like, say, if I want to find out the maximum salary for every location, I can do it. I can say for each and every location, what is going to be the maximum salary for every location. Say I am going to build 3 or 5 locations or hierarchies for East Coast. What is going to be the maximum salary? I can do that. Because here, in that case, what I would do is, I would say the columns will be, instead of worker type, employee type, and contingent type, I would rather have it as location hierarchy, and then salary. And then I would just group this by that particular specific value or the maximum value for this value. That's what I would rather do it. And then the next is the drill down options. Drill down is basically, you see a small arrow over here, a drop down arrow, all of these fields. Let me just show this to you. It makes a lot more sense because matrix reports are very, very interesting. And the reason why I chose to only describe 2 reports advanced in matrix is because you guys will be enjoying it. See here, I am actually viewing the criteria over here, or I am only taking the worker's view. And if I want to select a filter over here, I can choose this like a cost center. By which cost center? By cost center. If I go and refresh this, you will see a completely different kind of a drill down feature. This is the cost center and how many employees are there. You saw and something, right? You had 100 different. And whenever you build a RIT, especially for your higher ups, your CISO level people, this is what they would definitely be expecting. Alright, because they would definitely be expecting at a higher level. They wouldn't want it just a small thing on there. They will definitely be expecting to drill down this particular report because it is similar to what you can do or in a Power BI. Those of you who know stuff and Power BI, this is just something similar to what we have over there. Alright, and I drill it down by different options. And here, if I'm going to give more number of values in terms of details and everything, that is going to give a new flavor of reporting for me. I can put a country over here. For a country, I can do it. And again, I can have more levels. As I can first country, I can introduce type of a field. I'm going to have this drill down by country, by location. This report might look a little bit clumsy because I have many locations and all of these values are going to be coming over there. Alright. Typically, what will happen is you may be approached by a consultant, not an HR consultant, an HR coordinator, or talent manager, or your manager from your client organization. And they may say that I am seeing this particular field. Build me a report with the employee and possibly HR. Say it is going to say Dalhousie University. It should say Curly, Dalhousie University. It should show a report only with the employee and the education details as per the worker profile only. This is typically a requirement will be dealt or delivered to you. They will say, this pay, I see this field. This is typically what I want to see in my report. You build me a report. How will you approach this? How will you approach this? Because this is only going to say, even if I go to this particular related business objects, it may not give me all the information related to my business object and everything. Correct? Will it give my business object? Maybe. But Workday does give you an option to find out the related business objects. As if you see, for all of these related actions that you see, there are some related actions. Integration eyes, possibly favorites, and possibly audits. Audits may not be for everything. For system related ones, you may not take it, but integration ID and your reportings or standard across the board for any page and any object that you see. Related actions will with reporting options available. Even in this particular actions, if I go over here, I will see something called reporting, right? Say for this, if I want to pick the field, if I click on reporting, and if I go report fields, I go to reporting, I go to actions, and then I go to reporting, and then I go to reporting. It is going to give me all the fields that are relevant. Just hang on for a minute. It's just taking some time. When you want to build a report, you can look at the appropriate. That is being. Why I'm saying this? Because I am not sure. It is going to be from the worker. It need not necessarily be from the worker business object. It could be part of another business object as got. It can be part of another business object as how do I. This is the easiest approach for me to find out based on the requirements that I get from team. And this is the way I would go about this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me try something else. Simpler. We're going to get some more meaningful data. Why do we look at this? This is just age is over here now. Let me go to the worker profile. And I go to Dalhousie University. Related actions. I go to reporting. And I go to reporting. Report fields and values. I get all of these fields. Over here. See here. I see Dalhousie University. Alright, that is the value. And it says, the description is, identifies the education, allows you to drill down as if you do want to. And the field name is education. And what is going to be the related business object over here is going to be my related business object as, and from here, if I want to build, if for the worker, all that I need to do is go to my business object called as education and find out the related business object, and I will be there. In a real world, how your requirement could come or from your HR manager, or somebody will say, education. This is all that they will tell you. They will say that I want a report which is going to show me worker name, my education, university. Simple example I am taking. Very simple. You can try this for anything and everything under the sun as well. I am showing you very simple. How do I approach this? Because the same education, information, or university can be picked from 100 different business objects. For example, maybe an exaggeration. It could be picked from many different ones. How do I know? This is what. I go to the related actions of this particular, which is Dalhousie University. And for everything, I will see a field over here, an option over here called as reporting. And then I go to, and I am going to get this particular grid. I am going to get field and value. Here I said field value is Dalhousie University. And I am going to be choosing the relevant field over here called as education. And this education is part of the business object called as education business object. This is the field I need to use. And again, I can use the relevant related business object from worker in order to drill down more information. Alright, I can get more information from this base, whatever values I have. It's straightforward and simple enough. This is how real world requirement will come out to from HR manager or any is going to give you the business object. This is the data source. This is the business object from where this information. They are never going to say, they will say one particular page. In this page, I want this field and I want you to provide me a report. They may give you information that they want a standard report or they want a advanced report, or a custom report, or a box report, whatever they want. But in a real world, they may not even say that. It is up to you consultants to give them the best option possible. You may choose an advanced report. You may choose whatever type of that you want to and try to convince them. That's up to you. How to get that particular field, it's up to you. Alright. This is how a real world requirement will come up from your business once you get into an organization. And this is the way you approach. This is not the only way that you need to approach, but this is the way you can approach. Because, like I said, there are resilient ways to do many things. And this is the way I would approach this. Because for me, the business would only say, I want this field from the worker. Worker page. You get me? This particular report, that's all. Simple enough. That is all. That the word, the HR will say. They will not say anything more apart from this. It's up to us to find out which business object I want, the field, and everything. And I would approach this way. And if you already know the relevant business object and all those information, find feature. Alright. This is a more standard approach which you can use. And this you can use it for any. In Workday, every Workday page will have such reporting option. It's for your use. Right? Get to the that we have already seen. Like I said, this is going to be more or less the last session for reporting. We'll be ending reporting. And from tomorrow, I'll be starting over. If it's tomorrow, we will just jump onto EIVs. That's going to be another interesting topic, which we will see tomorrow. Alright? Alright. Let's jump into the deck that we have. We've already seen different types of reports. We have simple, Pipstain. And we've also seen as transpose, trending, composite. We are not dealing with this right now because it's going to be a little bit overwhelming for you. It is not much. Other types of reports are not much. This is going to be with today basis in a real world. Alright, that's why I'm just going through these reports and make yourself familiar. These 4 types of reports, and if you want to explore it, well and good. And it's not something that you cannot learn, difficult or something. It's more like kind of a strategy, not the real fighting boxing, but a kind of a report you will have. And there are some other parameters that you can give, and everything trending is like some charts. How the trending charts are going to be just like how you have it in Power BI or in Tableau. The trending options available. That's all it is. Alright. We've seen about data sourcing. Like I said, the data source is going to be the most important that you can possibly choose, or you should possibly choose creation, right? Report, anywhere that you are going to create. Your data source is going to play 50% the book. And if you have that sorted out, everything else is going to fit in, right? And at the same time, you have 2 different types of data sources. Like I said, one is going to be your indexed data source. And another is going to be your non-indexed data source, which I've already explained. Indexed data source is going to be having a, just like how you have in your database concept. For the rest of the folks, not from a non-database background, is nothing. Say I'm going to give a field. Say I have a worker database. In the worker database, my employee ID is usually that is marked as an index for every employee ID. I will have location or database locate to be more precise. It need not skim through the base, the number of and hundreds and thousands of records which are available. It need not skim through that and then find out. It is rather an easy for you to find. Say for example, if I'm going to say in an easier way, say employee, say is available in page number. Say imagine you have a book. In your book, the first is always going to be your index of content. Say I'm going to segregate it like employee information, just referring the index. I can directly go across to the 8th page and find out the details of, rather than going from one page to another, and then finding out where Aryan's data is. This is typically what happens. Data source, same concept. It also happens in terminology as that's what we're going to have over here. Clear on this? Like I said, index data source. Preferred to be used. Preferred because 99% you may use index data source. Indexed data sources have a usage as I'm not discounting that particular option. If you want unindexed data source, you can use it. But again, it is like 99% we prefer that you use an indexed data source because of performance. In fact, your performance is going to be better. It is going to be your index data source. Your performance is going to be, because when it's going to fetch hundreds and thousands offered its service, but an index data source, just see over here, you see a processing request. This is like take over here. Possibly it is using some kind of index. That's why it's taking to fetch the data. If it's going to use an indexed base, and if it's going to have fewer number and everything, it is always to do it. Alright. And when you, another tip for use, when you use grouping, ensure that the complex calculations are not used, because I may use a complex calculation to go through millions of data over and some aggregations. Aggregations are basically your count, summation, everything. These are in terminologies. These are called as aggregate function, and aggregate function are usually time consuming function. Say for example, you have 1000 rows. In the 1000 rows, I need to find the summation of my salary. Obviously, 1000 summations it needs to do. It's going to take some amount of, for a supercomputer, it's going to take some amount of, I'm not saying that it's going to be slow or fast, but it's going to take some amount of. Rather than that, you may want to choose other options and also index data. Alright, because all these aggregate functions are generally time consuming. It's going to be your class fields, which we've already seen about all the different types of fields that are going to be. Alright, what we saw in the fields is just as no data source, and then your multi-instance. You've already seen all that. Alright, self-referencing is nothing but is going to reference, just like what we saw for skills and everything. Much I would say I would really pay attention, because this is not something which we come across every, but the rest of them are going to be really important too. Alright, we've already done this particular activity. Sharing a report, we've already shown you how you can share your report to other folks, and you can ensure that only specific people have access to a specific type of report. It's not going to be like everybody is not going to have to every group, because I may not want all users to see their data. Alright, the data and the information that I have should always, especially if it is going to contain some personal information of an employee, you need to ensure that it is going to be secure and relevant people are going to have access, and not everybody, no Tom, Dick and Harry, should be able to have access to any report. For that matter, have it either with the relevant authorized users. If it is going to be for a specific group of individuals, share it with that specific group of individuals, not with everybody. Right, moving on to the transferring ownership. Say, for example, I had for this particular report, this is called Caroli of the report is typically the person who the report, and he is going to be the one who can edit and also lead this particular, and again this controlled. We have something called report, and you can choose that appropriate subdomain and everything, and find out what is happening over there and all relevant permission privileges, all that is available. Alright, this particular is the person who can edit the report, or if another person is having access to edit, they can edit it, but they are super of this particular report. Transfer this particular to another person, and where that is going to come in is, I've already created a report, and for example, if it is going to be, or this particular going to be something like a manager, a person who is a managerial, and if that person, which means he's going to get terminated in the near future, and I have a replacement person. Say, for example, if he's leaving the organization, and I'm going to have another person who's going to split, I can have transferred. This is an ideal scenario. I'm going to have a transfer ownership. Ownership typically to transfer the ownership of a report in when a person is a left or is moving to another department or any other employee. That's when a ownership transfer. Alright, let's go to the next Scheduling report. I'm just copying this report. I'm just not making any change over here. Scheduling this report. Sync. And again, this is common as because what ideally over whenever up to definitely in scheduling this report appropriate particular somebody, for example, I have onboarding people, organization with with appropriate criteria, whatever criteria, scheduling, schedule, sequential, prioritize, proc, all the processing, sequential, month, recurrent, at Howard Timson, recurrences, which typically schedule, possibly, right? Highly repository, which detailed some authorized work, specifically mentioned scheduling, notification, definition, fail, check, possibility, report, failing, probably, possible, and database, days report. Similarly, work choosing relatively negligible. Reporting. Career. Notification. Calculate. Calculate. Accidentally. Delete. Calculate. References. Work. In hack. That's pessimist. Because percent. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.